meeting of the Suez Town Council. It's December the 17th, 2018, 2 p.m. in Council Chambers. So I'd like to welcome you all and thank the entire curling club for showing up today. So first off is the adoption of some minutes. So we have the Committee of the Whole minutes of December the 3rd, the regular open minutes of December the 3rd, and the public hearing minutes of December the 3rd. Could we have a motion, please? Thank you. Councillor Rhodes, Councillor Bennett. All in favor? Thank you very much. Business arising from prior minutes, nothing. No introduction of late items? No, thank you. So we need a motion to adopt the agenda as printed. Thank you. Councillor King, Councillor Harvey. All in favor? Thank you. And no delegations. So first up is some water matters. And we're delighted to have our water councillor here. This is the third time we've seen him in about the last 2 weeks. So this is to report on expenditures from accounts payable for water councillors and council approval. And water district cash requirements to December the 17th are in the amount of $3,954.04. Thank you very much. We have moved that we approve that. Is there a seconder? Councillor Rhodes. Thank you. All in favor? Thank you very much. No correspondence, so we will go to a zoning amendment bylaw. Ms. McKay.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor McCordoff. So today's first one up is a report for zoning amendment bylaw number 1085.113 in respect of 8322 Main Street. The owner of the property is a registered company out of Alberta. The applicant is Jana Michelle Howardson, who's the director for Maple Leaf Greenery Limited. And the proposal is a zoning amendment for site-specific use to add cannabis retail sales as a permitted use to this site only. So the purpose of this report is request that Council consider zoning amendment bylaw number 1085.113. And the bylaw, if adopted, would allow for a site-specific retail cannabis store to be located at 8322 Main Street. With respect to provincial licensing, the Liquor and Cannabis Regulation Branch of the Province of British Columbia will not issue a private retail license without local government approval. The provincial licensing process, coupled with the site-specific zoning provision, will allow for a one-step process for consideration of cannabis sales in the town. Specifically, comments received through the rezoning process will be provided to the province for consideration during the provincial licensing program. The LCRB has produced the Cannabis Retail Store License Terms and Conditions, a handbook for the sale of non-medical cannabis in British Columbia, as a guide for retail store license holders. The handbook sets out a number of conditions of retail licenses. The guidebook has been attached to this report for information purposes as attachment number 2. The handbook addresses a number of specific issues which may be of concern to our community, including service training, store layout, security, and display of goods. These items are not, therefore, discussed in this report. With respect to the site, the applicant is proposing to open a retail cannabis store at 8322 Main Street. The property has remained vacant for a few years, aside from occasional office uses. The picture depicted in the report shows the exterior of the building proposed to be used by Maple Leaf Greenery. With respect to the zoning bylaw, the text amendment is required as cannabis retail sales is not a permitted use with the town of Suez. At the October 15th, 2018 meeting, Council adopted zoning amendment bylaw number 1085.109, which added the following section to the zoning bylaw, section 4.22. Council may approve a rezoning application for cannabis sales as a site-specific permitted use in the C1 downtown commercial zone, the C2 shopping center commercial zone, and the C3 highway commercial zone, with consideration of policy PLA-019 and any additional information Council deems appropriate, including all or some of the information required through the provincial licensing process. Accordingly, the applicant has submitted an application to rezone the property located at 8322 Main Street, which is within the C1 downtown commercial zone. As per Section 10.4 of the Official Community Plan of Osoyoos, we've been fortunate to maintain our traditional downtown Main Street, which is a major attraction for residents and tourists alike. Accordingly, the downtown has its own unique OCP land use designation and zone. The OCP policies promote an attractive and dynamic mix of complementary downtown uses and encourage a variety of businesses to locate in the downtown, including retail and service businesses, financial institutions, government and professional offices, housing above commercial floor space, arts and cultural activities, and inviting public spaces. Additional policies seek to retain and promote businesses to locate in the downtown area and discourage outward migration of businesses to other areas. The proposed use of this property for a retail cannabis store is considered to be in conformance with the OCP policies. With respect to policy PLA-019, at their September 4th, 2018 meeting, Council adopted PLA-019, being the cannabis retail sales site-specific rezoning considerations, which is also attached to this report. The intent of the policy is to ensure that all rezoning proposals were reviewed based on the same criteria. As per the policy, the subject property provides for on-site staff parking, which is off the lane, and this is depicted in the picture on the screen. Customer parking is available at the Town of Osoyoos day-use parking lot at the corner of 78th Avenue and 85th Street. Additional on-street parking is available on Main Street and 85th Avenue, as it is for customers of other downtown businesses. The subject property is not on a route that children take to school. The rationale for the recommendation. Staff is of the opinion that this location is suitable for the proposed use and will enable a new business to be established in the Town of Osoyoos. Implications are as follows. With respect to the community, to promote an attractive mix of complementary commercial uses to benefit the community and provide year-round and support continued commercial growth within a limited land base. Organizationally, the rezoning process requires a public hearing. Should the amending bylaw receive third reading, it would then be placed on hold till such time as the town is notified by the province that the applicant has been successful in obtaining the necessary approvals from the province. The applicant will also need to comply with any additional requirements as may be required through the business license program. A development permit for form and character will be required if changes are being made to the exterior of the building. Staff will bring forward the details of this permit for Council's consideration at the time of final adoption of the amending bylaw. There are no impacts to the budget associated with this report. Staff are proposing a public hearing date of January 21st, 2019 at 4 p.m. With respect to sustainability, town policy for commercial growth includes avoiding sprawling development. The options before Council today are Option 1, which is in two parts. A, Council grants first and second readings to zoning amendment bylaw number 1085.113, and B, Council sets a public hearing date of January 21st, 2019. Option 2, Council rejects zoning bylaw amendment number 1085.113. Option 3, Council requests additional information before proceeding further. And Option 4, Council recommends any other action deemed appropriate. And staff are recommending option number 1. Thank you, Mayor McCordoff.
Thank you very much, Ms. McKay. And I think you're getting fairly good at doing these reports. So,
I just want to make a brief comment.
Yes,
Say you'll
please
notice that there's going to be quite a similarity between any reports that we receive on this issue set. They're all looked at through the same eyes. So, yeah, they're going to look a lot alike.
absolutely, and that makes perfect sense. Is there anybody who would like to speak to this issue or make a motion? Councillor Rhodes.
Thank you, Mayor McCardoff. I'll move the recommended option number 1.
And do you wish this in two separate motions, so 1A?
1A.
Great, thank you. Are you seconding that? Anybody like to speak to that? Okay, all in favor? Thank you. Could somebody make a motion concerning 1B? Thank you. And it's seconded, Councillor Rhodes. So that's for a public hearing, which is the same procedure that we've done for the last one. So this, we're just following what we should be doing. All in favor of that? Thank you very much. That was easier than the first time, wasn't it?
Yes, actually it was.
Thank you very much.
Somebody has to be first.
Yes. Okay, So next is the zoning amendment bylaw, and this is you again, Ms. McKay.
Thank you, Mayor McCordoff. So this one is in respect of zoning amendment bylaw number 1085.110. And this one is, the owner of this property is Witz Holdings. The applicant is Richard Stagg for OG Canacabana. The civic address is 8304 72nd Avenue. And again, this is for site-specific use to add retail cannabis sales as a permitted use to this property only. At their November 19th meeting, Council granted first and second reading to zoning amendment bylaw number 1085.110, which is attached. The amending bylaw, if adopted, would allow for site-specific retail cannabis store to be located 8304 72nd Avenue. And again, the LCRB of the province of British Columbia will not issue a private retail license without local government approval. The provincial licensing process, coupled with the site-specific zoning provision, will allow for one-step step process for consideration of cannabis sales in our town. And the comments received through the process and through the public hearing process will be forwarded to the province. So again, the handbook is attached to this report, and it's a guidebook that addresses such things that may be important to our community, such as service, training, store layout, security, and display of goods. Now, the applicant is proposing to open a retail cannabis store at 8304 72nd Avenue in Osuyas. The property is the former site of Osuyas Signs, and it's depicted in the picture that you can see up on the screen now. The text amendment is required as per our previous zoning amendment bylaw number 1085.109, which added section 4.22 to the zoning bylaw. I won't read that again, as we just went through that. And accordingly, the applicant has submitted an application to rezone the property. Again, as per the section of the OCP promotes an attractive mix of dynamic mixes in our downtown area, and the proposal is in conformance with the Fish Community Plan. So, at their September 4th meeting, Council adopted PLA-019, which is the retail sales site-specific rezoning considerations policy, which is also attached. Again, staff is of the opinion that this location is suitable for the proposed use and will enable a new business to be established in the town of Osuyas. Now, we did hold a public hearing on this application, and an owner of a neighboring property raised concerns at that public hearing about the sale of cannabis in the area. It was also noted that this use would bring additional traffic to an already congested area. Two other Osuyas residents stated that this site is not the ideal location for this use. The applicant spoke and stated that the intent is his intent to make improvements to the outside of the building and to strive to be a good neighbor. With respect to community, again, to promote an attractive mix of complementary and commercial uses to benefit the community and provide year-round services for supporting continued commercial growth within a limited land base is one of our priorities. Again, organizationally, prior to making any changes to the exterior of the building, the applicant will be required to apply for and obtain a development permit for form and character. The applicant will also need to comply with any additional requirements as may be required through the business license program. No amendments to the package to the budget associated with this report. The amending bylaw will be placed on a future council agenda, which is today, and then if granted the third reading, it will remain at that third reading stage until provincial sureties about their licensing program have been met. Again, town policy for commercial growth includes avoiding urban sprawl, and council has 4 options before them today. Option number 1, council gives third reading to zoning amendment bylaw number 1085.110. Option 2, council defers third reading of the bylaw until a later date. Option 3, council requests further revisions to the bylaw before proceeding. And option 4, council makes any other recommendation they deem appropriate. Staff are recommending option number 1, council gives third reading to zoning amendment number 1085.110. Thank you, Mayor McCordoff.
Thank you very much. Councillor Rhodes.
Thank you, Mayor McCordoff. I'll move option number 1. The council gives third reading to zoning amendment bylaw number 1085.110 of 2018.
Do we have a seconder?
Second.
Thank you. Councillor King, and you would like to ask a Go ahead,
Question.
please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. At the open house, there was some concern about the parking. Will that be addressed through the building permit process?
When you say concerned about the parking that's available on site is the only parking that's available.
So there is sufficient, in your opinion?
It's a business downtown, existing building, not unlike any other businesses in our downtown where people park where they can. Obviously, there is 4 available parking sites on the property at this time.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else have any concerns about this? Okay, so it's been moved and seconded that we go with option number 1. All in favor? Thank you very much. Next is a council report from Councillor Bennett. Is there someone who would like to approve that? That we thank you very much. That expense account for $100, and that is moved by Councillor King. Councillor Rhodes is seconding that. All in favor? Thank you. And next is the council remuneration and expense paid report. Mr. Zackel.
Thank you, Mayor McCordoff. So this is to report on council remuneration and expenses paid for the period of December 2017 to November 2018 as per Bylaw 1265. Section 168 of the Community Charter states that at least once a year, council must have prepared a report separately listing the following for each of the council members by name: the total amount of remuneration paid for the council member for discharge of office, including any amounts specified or specified as an expense allowance, the total amount of expenses payments for the council member made to the council member as reimbursement for expenses incurred by the council member as an allowance that is not reported under the first paragraph, and total amount of any benefits, including insurance policies for medical or dental services and provided to the council member or the member's dependents. Any contracts reported under Section 107, which is disclosure of contracts with council members and former council members, and including a general description of their nature, would also be required. So implications under community is adherence to Bylaw 1265. Under significant dates, this is to be done once per year. Under sustainability, this is completing required processes of the municipality. And the option before council is to receive the information. And the recommendation saying to receive the attached council remuneration and expense paid report for the period of December 1st, 2017 to November 30th, 2018.
Thank you very much. So we just need a motion to accept the report. Thank you. Councillor Bennett, Councillor King, all in favor. Thank you.
Thank you.
And next is the park accessibility lift cover cost overages. Mrs. Dynison.
Thank you, Mayor McCordoff. Can you hear me? Okay. So at the November 19th, 2018 meeting, Council awarded a tender to Kirkwood Elevators to install an elevator lift at Desert Park for a cost of $35,930. After a site inspection, Kirkwood Elevators has advised staff that this cost will be increased to $40,500. Upon further inspection of the proposed project site at Desert Park and discussions with staff, Kirkwood Elevators is requesting a budget increase of $4,570. The increase in price is to include an automatically operated door to eliminate safety concerns and to revise the cab layout, making it much easier for users to enter and exit the lift. In addition, Kirkwood is requiring a 14-foot structural wall to be built to mount the elevator on. The elevator project budget is a total of $50,000. The town received a grant for $33,000 and approved additional funds of $17,000 to complete the project. There is a possibility that the project will cost more than $50,000 to complete due to the unforeseen increased costs. These costs include the increased cost as described above and increased structural engineering costs. Unfortunately, at this time, direct quotes from the structural engineer and contractor to build the wall have not been given to staff, so the actual additional cost cannot be calculated. Given that there has been requests for an elevator or a wheelchair lift at the Assemble Arena and the Curling Club, staff are currently investigating the possibility of moving the project from Desert Park to the Assemble Arena based on the grant parameters. Staff required Council's direction whether or not to move forward with the intended project with the chance of facing project budget overruns. Implications: community increased accessibility at a town facility, whether that's Desert Park or the arena. No organizational impacts budget, there is a chance that this project may go over budget. If the project does not go ahead, the town may lose the grant money that was awarded. Significant dates: the grant money received for this project needs to be used by the end of this fiscal year. Options. Number 1, council approves the additional funds as required by Kirkwood Elevators and keeping the project at Desert Park. 2, council does not approve the additional funds as required by Kirkwood Elevators and provides direction to discontinue this project. 3, council requests additional information related to the total cost of installing the lift at Desert Park and or moving the project to the Sun Bowl Arena or the Curling Club prior to making a project decision. And the recommendation is option 3. With the potential for the project to go over budget, there may be the opportunity to move the project funds to a facility that may have increased use of the lift system.
Thank you very much. Councillor Rhodes.
Thank you, Member Kordoff. I wonder if you could just clarify the end of this fiscal year, which is 2 weeks away. And if we go with your recommendation, there's no possibility that that will happen. Is there any flexibility in that area?
I've contacted the granting agency, and I have not, at this point, heard back yet.
I feel at this point, I don't even know if any kind of motion could be put out there that would give direction to anybody on it. Just to comment on the Desert Park thing, these other dynamics that are kicking in right now, it's already over budgeted. They're looking for that. But when you start seeing wording like structural engineers and things like that, I mean, this could blossom into an incredible amount of extra money over and above the money that we've already allocated to it. So I'm very much in favor of looking at options. But how do we get past the end of this fiscal year? I mean, it doesn't matter what we do. There's no solution to it, really.
Mr. Emenko?
Well, I guess, part of the whole granting process is not to have grants drive the community in a direction it doesn't want to go to. And if we can't meet the grant requirements by the end of the year, again, we'll be looking into whether or not we can make changes and waiting for those calls back. Given the uncertainty of the where we're going with the costs and completing it by the end of the year, the community may be better served by saving $20,000 and letting the grant go rather than putting good money into something you're not sure of. So that that's one of the options. Basically to put the one project to rest, and if it can't be met by the end of the year, and we can't change the time frames.
So if I could just lay out a real simple scenario. If we decided during this meeting to allow the Desert Park grant money to be used at the Curling Club, and if we did that today, we would never achieve the fiscal year end completion.
We could
Or am I
still,
missing something?
yeah, well, we could still technically, because work is being, basically we're waiting for Kirkwood is waiting for us to say go ahead and start building the elevator, which would fulfill the need because we're starting to spend the money because we have to pay them a percentage to start building the elevator. So we're starting to use the budget or the grant money, but they can't have that. Like, I couldn't say go ahead and do it knowing that there is a chance that we could go over budget. So basically Kirkwood is just waiting for us to say yes, go ahead and start building the elevator so they can start using the money.
But the dilemma is hugely over budget.
We don't know. We don't know because we don't have an actual cost from the structural engineer yet, and we don't have a quote from a contractor because we can't ask for a quote from a contractor until we get the quote from the
But
structural.
those four words that you threw out there usually transfers into many decimal points.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Which is why I wanted to delay the project or at least pause it until we had further direction.
So, Councillor Harvey.
Thank you, Mayor. It seems to me we're in a situation our CAO described of having a grant potential drive planning. And so the whole thing feels premature to me right now. A couple of things. So on our 5-year program, we're looking at capital improvements to the Sun Bowl Arena, and I think at such time as that project bubbles to the top, this should certainly be a consideration, but only then. I appreciate the support from the curling club. It's obviously very strong, and so that would be, good support for that kind of proposal. As for putting it in the curling club, that's not our building, and so I don't think we should be going in that direction, spending town money on, because the floodgates will open for requests for from private societies. And I would just like to, if we're going to go back and do some research, I would like to bring up what I did a month ago, which is to say I had a quick look and saw portable elevator lifts that are good for up to 6 feet in the $7,000 US range. Probably need a trailer, closed trailer. I don't know the feasibility of that, but I'd like that to be added to the mix of study rather than jump into approving a grant for something that I feel is quite premature.
Right.
Councillor Bennett, then Councillor King.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. My biggest concern also is if we just went over the curling rink and Kirkwood's building this one based on Desert Park. I'm not sure. It looks like it's outside and they're adding to it. We can't just take that same elevator and put it in the curling rink because different heights and different floors, where would you put it? It seems to me there's a lot more stuff. If it was just outdoor to outdoor, it would be pretty simple, but I just don't see. I mean, you got all kinds of stuff like where are you going to put it? Safety issues, fire issues.
Yeah, there. Right now, there are a lot of variables with the whole project right now, as well as the possibility of moving it to the arena. There's a lot of variables in there as well as to what we can and cannot do for that.
Okay, Councillor King,
Thank
and
you,
then
Madam
we'll be
Mayor.
looking for a motion.
I believe we've got a contract with Kirkwood Elevators at this time. And if we do, can we get out of that contract? Or the cost to get out of it?
That would have to be investigated.
We don't have a contract with them.
Nothing signed?
Nothing signed. All we have is a tender, and we haven't signed any contract.
Oh, okay.
That's why this got
Okay.
paused. Yeah.
Thank you. So is there someone who would like to make a motion based on one of the options or your own? Councillor Rhodes, are you going to do that?
It seems like we've been doing this an awful lot today. I'd like to craft a motion based on basically doing nothing and looking at our options. I do not want to move forward with the Kirkwood. Even the $5,000 bump that they're asking for is enough for me to back out of it. Nor would I, and just the additional costs with the structural engineer and so on and so forth, just makes me want to abandon that project in its entirety. The pitfall of doing that is that the grant criteria will probably cause it to lapse. And I know we have a room full of people from the curling club here. Does not in any way, shape, or form mean that we're going to abandon that opportunity at the curling club either. We just have a harsh reality that we're facing right now, and that's got to be the longest motion that anybody has ever.
That was a motion?
Number 3.
It makes more sense.
Does
Yeah, I
it not
guess
make
so.
sense?
Yeah.
Number 3,
Yeah.
which really basically says yours in a shortened form.
Yeah, no, thank you. Option number 3, yeah.
Would that
that's
be
what
okay?
That's
Are
what
you-
option number 3 is.
Yeah.
Number 3 is basically what Councillor Rhodes is saying, that we,
Bring back a
not that
report.
we look for additional information about the whole thing, and then we could abandon it if we need to, but we may already have to if there's no grant available. Does that make sense?
That makes perfect sense. Yes, but again, part of it is waiting for the grant providers to come back to us, and
Say what
depending on how we approach it, I'm hoping that we can get them to change their mind, maybe
Yes.
relative to another project option.
Okay. So are you seconding that motion, Councillor Bennett? Okay, so we're going with option number 3, moved and seconded. We're all set? All in favor? Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
So next is the, oh, this is Miss Van Vienen. Does that mean it's you? Nope. No, it's not you. Okay.
It's me.
She was Miss Van Vienen this morning, so that's why I was asking. Okay, Mr. Romanko, this is the request for eco-friendly taxi company?
Yes, a letter was received on November 28th from Kulvir Panaich requesting council support for a new eco-friendly taxi company in Soyuz. He states that he operates a full-time company in Penticton since 2013, and the province is now accepting more applications for taxi companies. He'd like to apply for 4 licenses, 3 for hybrid vehicles and 1 for a wheelchair accessible van. And there is currently a cab company in Soyuz. So he is looking for a letter of support. There are 3 options presented to council. However, in further researching this item, I noted that the cab licensing process through the province includes a note to the municipality whenever there is an application. So once we receive that notice, the municipalities asked for comments. So I'm recommending that council not kind of intervene in the application process at this time, and that we let the process take its form. Should the application come through, the municipality will then comment on the application as opposed to providing a letter of support.
So it would come back to council?
Well, it could come back to council, but it really, again, depending on the nature of the questions that are asked by the province,
Okay.
It could very well not come back to council if I have the answers to that.
Okay. So are you going to make the motion that he just said?
Yeah, I would move option 2, council not support the application for 4 taxi licenses, and I'll comment on that if there's a second.
Okay. And does that cover what you were? Or
Yes,
you had something else?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're seconding that? Go ahead. Councillor Harvey.
My feeling on this is that we, council, are not in the business of picking winners, but rather setting the general conditions for successful and thriving businesses. This is a pick-a-winner scenario, and I can't, it just doesn't sit right with me. And we'll deal with, if it comes back to council later, that's fine.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who wanted to speak? Councillor King?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I think the applicant's just got to be aware that the process to submit their application to provincial government first, and then see if there's a request from the provincial government for us to make any comments.
Okay. So that's been moved and seconded then, that we go that route. All in favor? Thank you very much. Okay, next is the general net payroll and Sunbow Arena financial accounts, and to report on expenditures from accounts payable for council approval and payroll information. General cash requirements of $426,882.49, and Sunbow cash requirements of $8,113.59, and those would be by consensus, and net payroll accounts of $105,825.99, and that would be for information. And we have a building permit. Is that on here? The building permit, is it? I don't have it on here. I've just got it in my book. Is everyone? You've got it. Okay. So the building permits for the month of issued for the month of November 2018 were for $57,000, which is quite a bit less than it has been for some of the other months. However, the year to date is $15,172,000, And year-to-date, last year was 12,600,000, so, or 12,695,000. So we have a couple of things, citing permits and accessory building and additions and alterations, but it seems like building has slowed down slightly for this time of year. So do we need could we have someone move that we accept the report? Thank you, Councillor King, Councillor Rhodes. All in favor? Thank you very much. And we will go on to our CAO report.
Thank you, Mayor McCordoff. Just a few of the activities of the administration over the last couple of weeks, starting first in community services. The new winter leisure guide was out, and they had a great turnout for program registration, and 3 classes are already full, and the 4th is coming to be full soon. The annual Walking with Santa event was held on Saturday, and between 150 and 200 people attended. They had meetings with the Age Friendly and Accessibility Committee and the Dog Park Committee. Both groups are eager to continue in the new year. In terms of corporate services, they completed the Victim Services funding application. There was shortlisting and also interviewing going on for the Operational Services Manager. They took one Freedom of Information request, and they worked on a new lease for the curling club. BC Transit held an open house here on December 4th, although the turnout was small. Apparently there was some very good information that was provided for future planning. In terms of finance, they had their first go-around with the auditors. They were in here last week, and budget preparation has been the key. In terms of key activity, in terms of planning and development planning, there have been fielding a number of information and requests on the cannabis stores in the community. They're also planning for the Resort Municipality Strategy Session. The building area fire inspections continue as time permits. In terms of public works, the issue of water service to Mr. Durat has been resolved. Snow removal, yes, we did have snow. There was a little bit of work going on at that as well. And the budgeted for utility tractor arrived here last week, and will be a welcome addition to the trail maintenance and also the street maintenance fleet. And for myself, I met with the our fire master plan consultants in 3 different meetings with council, the fire officers, and our directors. I was involved with the interviews for the operations manager. We had the council strategic planning session, and also I continue to work on the 2019 to 22 business plan, and that's my report for today.
Thank you very much. Could we have a motion, please, to accept the report? Councillor Bennett, Councillor King. All in favor? Thank you. And we'll now go on to council reports. Councillor Bennett, you're first.
December 10th, I also attended the Fire Hall Master Plan program with everybody else. December 13th, I went to the Cog Gone Wild. It was a great talent show that was in town, and it's amazing all these people that moved into the valley from different places that have all this talent and bring it all together. On the 15th, went to Tumbleweed Spirits. They had their open house. It's a great, nice to see local people again building new businesses and becoming successful. And December 12th, I attended a school board meeting, and right now we're at 2249 students and -2 for the year in the school district. The big thing there was the mandatory seatbelts and buses they're concerned about and talking about, but they have to find out who can write the wording for it, if it should be provincial or federal, who has the jurisdiction, so that'll probably be reported on the end of February. It was kind of neat. They talked about providing social media, that people talk about social media being negative. The school's trying to find things that are positive by being able to use social media to teach kids positive things instead of just negative. And the other thing was kind of an interesting thing. They had it's called Take a Risk, and there's 9 applications of teachers from $752,000 where the teachers come up with an idea where they can do something better in their classrooms to teach their kids. And so then they get approved and they take it to their classrooms, and then they do a report at the end of the term and see if they can come up with some better teaching things. So it gives the teachers and students some different initiatives. That's my report.
Good. Sounds like you have a full-time job now that you've retired. Thank you. Councillor Rhodes.
Thank you, Mayor McCordoff. I have two things that I want to report on. The first one being a tremendous accomplishment by our mayor by being appointed to the chair and the leader of the Okanagan Basin Water Board in our community. I know our MLA let the news out this morning, but it was fairly recent news and a lot of people knew about it. So you probably wonder, why would a person even ever comment on that? This follows a long legacy of previous mayors, Mayor Slater, Mayor Wells, who have chaired that board and done such tremendous things in our community with regard to all matters of water, not just our lake water, but, they do so much for well water and, aquifers and groundwater and all that kind of thing. An amazing organization with a long, long history of doing very, very positive things in our community. And so I wanted to offer my congratulations. This is a big thing for Osoyoos, and I'm very, very confident that she'll do an excellent job at it.
Thank you.
And the only other thing I wanted to report on is thank you very much again to Mayor McCordoff for allowing me to sit through the regional district budget process. There's been a number of meetings over the last little while. It seems like weeks and weeks of time spent on it, but actually it hasn't been quite that much. But just a really, really neat process to go through because I get to compare it to the way we do our budgets. It's vastly different. It's a whole other level of governance that we're not used to working with. So thank you very much for that experience. I have to admit, I never fell asleep once.
Good.
Some of the other directors did, but I'll deal with that if I hear from them this week again. But yeah, that's my report.
Thank you very much. Councillor King.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Attended the open house on Transit Action Plan. Looks like some good new initiatives for bus service between here and Kelowna, hopefully. Attended the strategic planning session. That was a full day and a half, and I think the people will be happy. There'll be some good ideas coming forward. And also attended the Fire Hall Master Plan, which became very interesting conversation.
Thank you. Councillor Harvey.
Similarly, attended the strategic planning 2 weeks ago, the fire department master plan, I think it is, last week, and I had an invite to the first quarter meeting for the library board in February. So
good.
I'll be reporting on that later in February.
Good. Thank you very much. So I think you can see that we've all been at several meetings. I'm pretty sure our new councillors weren't quite sure that they were going to be in for this many meetings in such a short time, but it's important that we get everybody sort of up to speed on our strategic plan and our budget information, and so it's been fun. So we also have a full day meeting tomorrow on the budget, so we're busy. I just want to thank so many of our town staff for making Osoyoos, while there isn't snow, it certainly looks very festive, and it looks especially nice at night with all the lights on. And you need to look on Andrew's column in his Osoyoos Today, and he's got a list of many places that you can go, houses and businesses. I don't know whether you've included businesses in that or not, Andrew, but many houses in our area that have spectacular lights, and it's worth just getting in a car and driving around and having a look at them. Some people have spent long, long hours getting those ready, so it really looks good. Thank you to everybody. Our office will be closed next week. from the 23rd in the afternoon to January the 2nd. So we want everybody to have, including our staff, to have a safe, happy, Merry Christmas with family and friends. And we wish everybody to have a very happy and healthy 2019. So thank you very much, and Merry Christmas to everybody. Could we have a motion to adjourn the meeting, please? Thank you. Councillor Bennett, Councillor King, all in favor. Thank you.
You're opposed?